Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the We Know Love Island podcast here on RHAP. We are breaking down the end of Casa Amor today. So if you haven't seen all of Casa Amor, pause, binge the episodes, come right back, because we're going to go full spoilers. I'm, of course, Kirsten MacInnis, joined as always by the lovely Brian Scally. Scally, how are you?
Hello. I'm doing so good. Excited to talk about the basically beginning, middle, and end of Casa Amor right now, and very excited that we brought in someone to do that with us.
Yes, we have been going it alone the whole season, but Casa Amor is a time to test connections. So we had to bring in a very special guest. You know him from all of the Traders coverage on RHAP, from the Pooya and Liana Lounge, from all the 90 Day Fiancé coverage, from twitch.tv/Pooya, and so much more. Pooya Zanvakili's here. Pooya, how are you?
I'm doing good, but do not ask me to put up a board with one of your names on it at the end, because I will not decide. That will not happen.
He'll spell it wrong for sure.
All right, we're scrapping the segment. Pooya, how's it going? How have you liked this season of Love Island?
You know, I've liked it quite a bit. It was very easy to, as one does, I fell behind immediately. And then it was a very easy catch up. And I've been on top of it for the last 2 weeks watching, nightly. And it's been very, very enjoyable. There's been some frustrating moments, but for the most part, I've had a good time with it. There's not really been a lot to be irritated by, but I do fear it could get a little stale, potentially, but we'll see.
We got to keep hope alive, okay? We got to keep hope alive. It does tend to slow down after Casa normally, so we'll
this
see.
Ain't even Casa, though. Do we count this?
Yeah, can we jump in with this?
Please.
Because why was Casa Amor 3 days? What do you mean? What do you mean 3 days?
Was anything more going to happen on a fourth or a fifth? Unfortunately, Casa Amor was flopping big time, and I think that they knew that was going to be the case coming in.
Well, yeah, and we talked on Tuesday about how that is maybe why they brought in some of these twists to try and push people to try in Casa Amor, but it didn't pan out the way we had hoped that it would pan out.
No. And you know what? I can't believe I'm going to say it. Almost like, thank God for Taylor making the only unexpected decision or like semi-controversial decision.
Right.
I have not been thankful for Taylor being on the season many times this season, and I love Alandria, but I needed this to mean literally anything.
I think that's it. I think that was the one connect. Like, the vibe I've gotten is everyone was like, we want there to be mess. And then this happened, like, not this one. We wanted the Ace mess. We didn't want the Alandria mess. So I feel like I'm in the exact same place you are right now, Scally.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I need to say first and foremost, I do love Alandria. She's a wonderful TV character, and I want her to have true love. Taylor doesn't like you. Stand up. Stand up.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Like, she is too funny, beautiful, smart, full package to be like begging, not literally begging, but like basically begging for Taylor to like her. It's not right. She deserves better.
Yeah, look, she's not gonna beg at all, but she's left the door open far too long. Like, strays are coming in. Like, let's close that door. It's time.
Close the door, open a window to go literally anywhere else. But yeah, of course, we can't bury the lead that Alandria is now single in the villa. Taylor has chosen Clark.
He has.
And I'm delusional. I understand that. I still believe in Alandria.
This is your craziest take. Honestly,
no, at the end, when
the Alandria strippers had their 24 hours. It's moved on.
The way, like, at the end of the episode, when he like helps her into the bleachers and she lays her head on his shoulder, there's something there. They may never explore it in the villa. They may never explore it, period. But they have more chemistry than anyone on this season of Love Island USA, even if they're never going to explore it.
You know what? Let's talk about Nick and Alandria, because that's where we leave off after the last episode. They are the two most recently eliminated, quote unquote, Islanders. And look, both villas are still freaking out. Like Ace and Taylor are in tears, just absolutely distraught that they have gone home. But what we really know is that they're going on a date in candlelit in the middle of the jungle, and all of the sudden it does seem like maybe there are sparks there, kind of.
Well, I think that there's been hint at sparks through the whole season of them just like picking each other in challenges, like looking at each other, like especially Nick watching Alandria like throughout the season. Like he's been watching. And so when they're finally on a date, it really like it seems like super friendship vibes. They're giving each other the download of what's been going on at their respective villas, what everyone's been up to. And then they get a text saying you can be single basically and go home, or you can couple up and go back to the villa together. And when they get that text, Nick is kind of like, well, you know, I have been wanting to get to know you. And it feels real.
Okay, here's my thing. I really wished we had podcasted yesterday also, because I was so ready for you to come in and be very excited about this, because I could tell you were, and me to come in and rain all over your parade, because I have seen Nick have just as much chemistry with that udder in the competition that he was drinking milk out of.
Listen, the udder is a special situation. It felt real, and especially like the later on, there was more sparks that I felt from any couple on this season of Love Island USA. I'm sorry. It's the way that I feel.
I mean, this is also, let's not forget, like Nick has had a long journey, but this is also the same guy that through one kiss with Bella was like, nope, it went from 80-20 back to 50-50 again, y'all. Like, I don't know where I'm going. So I feel like he's very easily swayable.
Yeah.
But I think he's also had eyes for Alandria. I will give you that.
I think if Alandria was giving him the time of day, it would be no question. I think he wants to be on Love Island, which is definitely part of the decision-making process. But I think they just have chemistry. Like they have that good friendship vibe, and Alandria likes to be friends first, which is why I feel like the chemistry was so strong in the Thursday episode, because she got that like no pressure opportunity with Nick. They spend time, like she gets back into the villa and Taylor doesn't even go talk to her for like a while.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Look, they get the notification basically that they're going to be going in as a couple, because no one's ever saying no and going home single. So they sneak in. Home. They surprise everyone in the morning, and the entire group of guys runs and tackles Nick, including Taylor, who like basically like body checks Alandria going to get to him, and it just is like, oh yeah, also you're here, thank you, and then just goes back to having his arms wrapped around Nick the entire time. Taylor's not interested, and I think that, okay, if I'm judging by comparison, does Nick have more chemistry with Alandria than Taylor? Yeah, so does every other man on the show. But I don't think, again, like we've seen Nick do this with Andrina, with Iris, and every other woman basically that he's talked to on the show.
I do not think that it's equivalent chemistry. Like, yes, he can be swayed, and I totally am. Yes, that's true. I'm not denying that. But it's just like I was getting butterflies watching Nick and Alandria interact, which is not normal. That is not how I watch these shows.
Yeah, it wasn't there for me. And I don't know if that's because it felt too convenient almost. Like I thought that I never really believed this twist that they were actually going home, even like as they're getting eliminated, because it doesn't really make any sense as to why they would be. And then, okay, now they're gonna magically fall in love, and like forced proximity, like romance novel. Like it didn't click for me. I just didn't think it was gonna happen. And so when they are starting to explore things, I'm like, this is cute, but it's still not working for me all of the way.
Well, congratulations, Scally. You're dead inside. Suddenly you don't root for love anymore. That's crazy.
Look, I am a changed man.
Yeah. Like what did we body swap? What's going on here?
Real. I don't know. Because I would have loved for this to have worked a week ago. And I love Alandria, like Nick, but just the way that it happened, it didn't feel genuine and it felt odd. So, because I needed it to maybe get past one recoupling where they actively chose it themselves, and then I will allow myself to start buying into it.
Okay, that's fair. Pooya, did you ever believe it at any point?
No, I feel like the kisses at the challenges definitely felt like intense, and they kept like grabbing, like finding each other in the challenges and everything. But I think when you give them the notion of would you like to stay, but you have to be together, or leave, they're always gonna pick stay. I will say, first of all, I was excited because I looked at Leon. I was like, the Nick Alandria shippers are about to lose their minds tonight. Like, this is a fantasy booking come true. And it's what, like, you know, very rarely are you going to get the two people have been claiming are into each other for so long to actually happen, for them to have their I told you so. So I was excited for them. But I'll tell you what I was most excited for was the fact that I was rooting for TJ's downfall the whole night. He didn't end up leaving. And I was like, if I had to watch TJ do this, I would hate every bit of it. So yeah. I was very here for that not happening at that point. But I think ultimately for me, you're gonna make them recouple, cool. I don't know if I loved that they had to go back to Casa or the villa. I feel like they should have gone to put him in the hideaway. Where's put him in the hideaway?
The only way
right there.
Works.
And that is what I thought was going to happen on Tuesday night. I thought they'd be in the hideaway. I guess Love Island Australia does a twist of like Hotel Casa, where people are like
Hotel
split
Amor.
into Hotel Amor, thank you, where they're like in hotel rooms. And I was like, oh, are they going to combine this like Hotel Amor twist with Casa Amor?
I am giggling at Hotel House.
Yeah, people need to know it's Friday night. It's been a long weekend. I'm stupid. Okay?
I tease. I think that may have had a better chance of things because there is something here. There's a close connection. They get along really well. There's chemistry as really good friends, and like maybe had this happened earlier, it could have been something, because you know they have good kissing chemistry. They make out yet again up in Soul Ties, and I think
that was
almost good kiss. Honestly, it's the closest I come to believing it.
And everything leading up to the kiss, like they're in Soul Ties and they're both laying down, but they're like not touching. And then the conversation continues, and Nick is really cheesing. He looks so happy. He's complimenting her personality and how beautiful she is. And they're like getting closer, and then their feet are touching, and then the conversation is getting more intense.
You're into
I was literally sitting there like, now kiss, and then they did, and it was so like, you can just tell that they at least have physical chemistry. And again, I don't think it's going to get explored again on this season. They might not even explore it outside of the show. That's fine. But we got one beautiful moment, and I do still believe in their connection, even if nothing will ever come of it.
Yeah, it also, in theory, had this worked out, would have been very messy in terms of like, where does Sierra factor into all of this? How do Taylor and Nick continue as friends, and Alandria and Sierra continue as friends?
Taylor and Nick would have been fine because Taylor doesn't give a fuck. First of all. But also, and they would have won this season. That like it would have been wrap it up, season's over. It's going to Nick Alandria.
I do think they probably win, but again, I needed to get like a little bit further in to feel like that is a valid outcome and not just production picking the winner. Not that I think there's a lot of this is scripted, this is fake, and I don't think it's scripted. I don't think they told anyone who to pick or to tell Nick to tell Alandria that he's into her. Like, I don't think any of that happened, but it still would have felt like too cute.
So last season, Leah, after the show, let us all know that there was like 2 straight days after Casa Amor where production basically just like kept her and Miguel separated because they were definitely wanting her and Rob to get back together, almost certainly, right? And so they were keeping her away from Miguel, and it was really tough and hard. Keep Taylor away from Alandria. I'm like, Taylor, get a job, stay away from her.
I don't think that's the problem. I think we need to keep Alandria away from
Well,
Taylor.
no, but that's the thing. Like, because he's, even when he stands up and picks Clark, that's not enough for Alandria to close the door. And so keep them apart. Keep them away from each other. Let her like try to actually move. Like, I just feel like she's so nonchalant in general and she's not really interested in any of the OGs other than Taylor. She's obviously not pursuing Nick because they both were like concerned about Sierra, which is totally valid, and it actually makes me like both of them more for caring. So like, who's she gonna find love with? Like, she's not gonna go for
Elin.
No.
Look, I think we'll talk about Alandria and her future prospects and the recoupling and all of that as we go. I think Alandria and Nick confirmed dead, not happening. What else was going on in Casa Amor / the villa this week?
Well,
but that isn't that the question? Because dead asked what was happening.
It's a great question.
The villa, I don't think realized how to spice things up for that one challenge they had against Casa. Because, dear Lord, the answer isn't just let's take our shirts off. That's not working.
It did make me laugh when Nick ripped his shirt off, and then when all of them ripped their shirts off.
My favorite moment was when Austin decided to do the Spider-Man kiss, but he just laid back. That was good.
He lays back, and then Jaden is like, "Oh, I'll also get up upside down." It's like, no, that's not how this works, Jaden.
Austin's like, I wanted to play Spider-Man. I did get a text from a friend who I will not dox on this podcast this morning that said, Sierra doing the backwards cowgirl makeout has me back on Hinge.
That was so hot, so much so that Elin was like, Can we kiss out the challenge? She was like, no. No. You got
really
the
tried.
Sampler.
He was like,
he was down bad after that. And I can't blame him. I really can't.
Have the intellectual connection, the emotional. How about that physical? She was like,
funny. Yeah. Watching the men on Love Island try and get a kiss is so funny. Just because to see how they're going to phrase it and how they want to get it in there.
Yeah, it's also really funny to me that, generally speaking, everyone has drawn the line at, we will test our relationships emotionally and intellectually, but a physical test is a bridge too far. That's the only definition of cheating. And it's like, you're already like talking about your hopes and fears and your whole life story. Like, you can kiss a little. It's really not going to make that big of a difference.
Half of them aren't even kissing their actual partners on the show. So why would they be kissing these randos?
And that is why I would like to propose, not my own take, I've seen it many times online, that this season of Love Island is they're trying to see how much conservatism they can push in a show like Love Island. And that is why. It's a psyop, everybody.
I think it is a kind of hangover from last season. I think last season was so incredibly popular. They saw how extremely popular a lot of the contestants got. And I think people are trying to emulate people, trying to emulate storylines, trying to be just as popular as past seasons. And I don't know if, and like, there's been discussion of have like there been even more alliances than in the OGs than there have been in other seasons. So it is tough. I think they're fighting a number of factors, and it just needs to course correct a little bit.
They were kissing last season.
Oh, they were.
And so if you want to emulate last season, you need to be kissing.
No, this season's meta is we don't kiss outside the challenges, but in the challenges, we'll kiss like we've known each other for years. Like, we're going full blown.
Maybe I'm just a bad kisser and this is how I find out, but they lead with the tongue in a crazy way. So I actually think maybe all of these people are bad kissers because they're
Listen, I'll tell you, some of them have no idea how to use their tongue. Taylor, I genuinely do not think Taylor knows how to kiss for sure. Bless his heart. Taylor does not know what he's doing. And like, no, there's some people here that I'm just like, Can we talk about how awkward the matchup of JD and Huda was in that challenge? Because every single kiss they had was uncomfortable to watch.
Listen,
extremely bad. Only topped by JD and Huda trying to have a conversation.
I
was like, okay, kiss. This is worse. Kiss.
Mm-hmm. Go back to the kissing.
When she said nice chat and left, I was like, see growth.
It was so good because it kind of, I couldn't tell if he was still trying to be flirty, because otherwise, like, why even are we having this conversation at this point? But JD comes up and is like, I can tell you like to be dominant. She's like, no, not really. And he's like, oh, well, I don't like to be dominated, so we're gonna be, and she's like, okay, well then go find someone submissive. It is extremely awkward. Is bad.
I don't think she was trying to be dominant. I think she was trying to steer the kiss in a passionate direction, and it just wasn't working.
So what a weird thing to be zeroed in on when you're making out with somebody. Be like, nope, you tried to take control one too many times. Like, what does that even mean?
You don't just keep a you don't keep a scoreboard in the back of your brain of like how many times you keep.
No, what I like to do is in between when we stop kissing, I look back and I mark the whiteboard, and then I get back in there again. That's the move. Yeah, that was weird. But here's the thing. Legitimately, that was a 30-second clip we saw on the show, and then the two of them were separated. It was like nothing else had happened. Was that really it? Was that the moment that broke them? Was this weird, like, you're controlling? Oh, God.
It was that bad of a conversation.
Yeah.
It was really, really bad. And yeah, then they never really saw each other again. Huda had like one short conversation with
Chris.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, you're tall and I think you're handsome, and it doesn't really seem to be working out with Shelly, so how about me? And he's like, yeah, definitely.
He's like, I have 7 sisters, so yes. And I was like, what does that mean? What do you mean, Chris? Why does 7 sisters mean you're good to be with Huda?
Look, she likes family. He has a family. Yeah.
It was interesting. It was funny to see Huda, like, again, we've clocked that she's been a little awkward with the flirting, but she's like, oh, how are you feeling about Shelly? Is there anyone else you'd like to talk to in the villa, maybe? Like, anyone? So, very smooth by Huda.
I thought that was her best work.
It is a low bar.
Can we talk about Austin and Jaden?
Yes,
please. Sure.
Because they maybe have one brain cell that they're sharing between them, because their conversations, and the conversations are so bad. Like they talk a little bit after the initial like recoupling, but it's mostly like she's upset because she feels that she's sent Nick home. But then they have a conversation in the Friday episode where she's like, oh, what's the scar from? We find out that Austin had open heart surgery when he was a baby. They fixed him all up. He's good now. And he's like, do you have any other like crazy,
like, have you had any
surgeries or traumatics?
Yeah. And she's like, just the diabetes.
And he goes, does anything scary happen with diabetes?
Man's never heard of diabetes.
Like, yeah, diabetes is scary. I posted that quote on Blue Sky of like, what do you mean? And someone replied like, my uncle literally lost their leg because of diabetes. Like, yeah, it's scary.
What was wild is that when she's like, I pass out sometimes, and he asks how often, she says only like 5 ever. And he's like, oh, I pass out way more than that. Like, what are you doing?
He's being hit in the head repeatedly, and it explains a lot.
Like, what do you, sir? Why are you passing out? He's like, I'm really reckless. What does that mean?
What did he say? He said something like, I don't think about what I'm doing ever. I was like, too many boys, too many guys act this way. As a former, I didn't think about any consequences guy. Like, smarten up, please.
I was in shock and awe in that whole conversation. I was like, what? That felt like old school Love Island UK, like, am I in a county or a country? What's a tree? Or, like, does Brexit impact the trees situation? I mean,
listen, Austin is riding a high. Like, this is the first time in the history of the villa that Austin won a triangle. Austin beat out Nick for Jaden's heart, which, by the way, also not for nothing, Nick has the tendency of, if the minute he's not number one pick, he pretends you do not exist and will never talk to you again. At least that's the energy I get from him every single time.
Unless you're Alandria, and then he'll make sure you stay in the villa.
Well, yeah. I mean, that one was different. I will say, not to go back to the Nick Alandria of it all, but I genuinely felt like after that kiss, Nick was definitely head turned a little bit, but I think he sensed Alandria was not feeling the same, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, we're both thinking friends only, right? Like we're both on the same page here. We both couldn't do that to Sierra and Taylor, surely." So I got that vibe a little bit too.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
But they are. I want to go to Ace and Coco's conversations.
Yes, let's do it.
Coco is checking in with Ace, and generally, I feel like they actually have had kind of decent chemistry. I didn't hate Coco and Ace, but it to me felt like Ace is just taking one more pit stop on the road to Shelly that he's been kind of doing all season. And so when Coco checks in and is like, "Oh, are you the jealous type?" And I'm thinking of Ace constantly scheming to get Shelly away from Austin at every single opportunity. And he's like, "No, not jealous. I'm just overprotected when I'm heavily invested." I was like, "Sorry, is that the Webster's dictionary definition of jealous?"
Yeah. That's the fancy definition there, to the longer route.
I really like Coco, and I would love if she got the Rob treatment of coming back as an OG next year. I think that out of everyone from Casa, she's who I would most like to see get that opportunity.
Yeah, she seemed cool. I unfortunately don't think we got to know her well enough. As she said, she's not a completely open book. You got to flip a couple pages. But I don't think, unfortunately, the show will be calling Coco back.
Listen, we could get a grassroots campaign going right now, and we could apply pressure. Peacock, let me get in touch.
Yeah, Coco, like a very short stint, tries for Taylor, then switches to Ace, and then gets booted out the house. Which, by the way, I think there's no worse situation than being in a list of vulnerables next to an OG. You're just say goodbye right then and there. There's almost no point to staying there.
Yeah, it was brutal. With Shelly and Chris, were we ever in doubt that this was going to, did we ever think this was going to work? Or was it always Ace and Shelly?
I think if they had more than 3 days, it's possible that her head could have been turned a little bit more. Like, it did seem like they had good conversations. It seemed like they got along. They look great next to each other. Like hot couple, let's be so clear. But I just don't think there was enough time, and with Ace having been breadcrumbing her all season long in the main villa, I don't think there was enough time to fully turn her head. I had hopes that her head would turn, but I don't think that she was given the opportunity.
I think it's look at the recouplings that we do end up getting. Really, the 3 people that were in the house before Casa that leave with a new couple are a split up couple of 2 who were already kind of on ice as Casa happened, and then a couple where it was a little bit of both sides were unsure, and then it was beginning to foster, but it didn't quite have the immediate spark. And what Casa's good for is that immediate spark hitting something. And so for Taylor, it works out that way. But for Shelly, I think it's a little more because she had the spark with Ace right out the gate as well. So to your point, Kirsten, I think that's the kind of connection that needs more time. Whereas a Taylor one, if the spark's immediate, that makes you feel like, okay, this feels more right. Maybe the Alandria thing really is just a friends thing. And that's what it was because we didn't have this spark in the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, Taylor said to Ace that he wasn't attracted to Alandria, that there was no physical spark, right? So it's I think it's hard to come back from that sort of feeling. Generally speaking, you can gain romantic feelings for someone, friendship can build, and you can like someone more. But I think for the most part, a physical spark is either there or it's not there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if we're going back to Shelly and Ace, for me, yeah, they had a couple weeks on Shelly and Chris, but they also had like the
Mhm.
8 months where they met in front of a bar so to build on. So like they've been thinking
Yeah.
about it for quite some time. I think it was really going to be difficult for Chris to come in here, and I don't think that a conversation about brownies and ice cream was necessarily going to do it. I think that it was cute how he was like coming up with kind of original questions, being like, when you are burnt out, like what's something that picks you up, like let's get like slightly deeper in this within the 3 days. And they had good conversations, but I think it was just way too quick. This was never going to happen. You could see how shocked they all were when they were told, oh, tonight it's over. Kick them out, we're getting rid of these Casa people.
And I mean, we know they're filming all day, every day. So, my God, if this is what we got, nothing happened in Casa or the Villa.
Yeah. I don't think that they even really felt like they could fake us out much longer. And I think they wanted to like rush to the good stuff, which is the recoupling.
Should we talk about Zach and Amaya?
Let's do it. What do you think about Zach and Amaya? Because I'm a little undecided.
I want to hear
What do you
Pooya's
mean?
thoughts.
Me, okay. I listen, I like them both as individuals. I don't buy them as a couple yet. Now, this could just be the show focused on every other couple but them more. So that's something to consider. But it didn't really feel like it's a couple that has a lot of staying power. I genuinely, part of me didn't expect him to get up. I feel like the formatting of how they removed Alandria, removed Nick that night, that formatting was a little weird to me, where because they almost did it in reverse, it made sense that he got up. But if it was like a regular recoupling, I don't know if he goes that way in the moment. But then they seem to like have a decent chat, but there's moments where you can tell Amaya is a lot more expressive and the emotions come out a lot quicker than the reservedness that Zach has, which I'm like nervous that at some point Zach's gonna be like, no, this is too much for me. Like, we've only known each other 3 days. Similar to kind of what happened with Austin. We even saw it a little bit tonight where what am I saying? When Amaya was very responsive to the Alandria and Taylor of it all, he's like whispering, like, let it go, like leave it. So I'm not 100% sold on these two, on their longevity.
Yeah, I agree. I do think sometimes having one person who's super chill and one person who's kind of emotional and dramatic can be balanced in a relationship. So I'm not completely like it's impossible. But I think Zach picking Amaya came down to she kissed him and Alandria didn't.
Right.
So we'll see if that has actual legs.
Yeah, I don't see it here yet, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, the most of their conversations is like, okay, I'll see you later. They have one peck. Like, you go chill out now before bed. And I think that maybe the surprise eliminations of Alandria and Zach was really terrible for the chances of anyone who may have even strayed, because now you have like half of the OG Islanders like clinically depressed that their friend just went home. And so they're like not even willing to have these fun, flirty conversations because they're just still so upset that one of their best friends left the villa. And I think that Amaya was someone in that boat where she almost sacrificed herself for Alandria, let alone like being ready to explore this with Zach.
I think a lot of people on reality TV call themselves empaths, but I think Amaya might be the only actual empath I've seen on TV. And she doesn't call herself that.
No. Yeah, Amaya is crying at every opportunity. It's genuinely hilarious. Like, even when they were just like, Casa Amor is over, and Amaya's in hysterics over the fact that they're going to be leaving.
No, I love it. I love the drama. She feels her own feelings and everyone else's feelings, and she expresses them. And we do need chalant people, and she is chalant, and I love it.
I appreciate it. I feel like there is a
Same.
lot of very chill people on this season, and Amaya is not chill enough to make up for quite a few of them.
I want to voice one thing that bothers me about Zach with a K.
Okay.
I don't know what he did to his barber, because that haircut, man, like, this guy would easily be the most attractive man on the island at least from coming out of the Casa Amor of it all. But can I cuss?
Yeah, you're good.
That fucking bowl cut, man. What are we doing? Like, it bothers me. I'm annoyed.
It's not great, but even with it, he's still the most attractive man in the middle.
If you still have a full head of hair, use it goddamn correctly. Those of us that are suffering, we have beef with you now. I'm beefing with Zach,
Like,
but I like him otherwise. I really do.
How dare you?
Like, I only wish I had the opportunity to have a chance to make myself look chopped, but he looks great otherwise.
If it makes you feel better, Pooya, pretty much all of the facial hair in the villa is horrible, and you've got a gray beard, so.
I will. That I'm carrying for now, very happily. Yes. yes.
I'm trying to think. Is there anyone else that we haven't talked about? Oh, so I guess Karen and Elin.
Yeah. I won't lie. I feel like this at the beginning of Casa, I was thinking Sierra's a lot more open to exploring than I would have thought coming in here. So that surprised me. You know, she was not necessarily reciprocating on the I am going to kiss you right now, but she did reassure him that exploring the physical connection was something that she wanted. So I was pretty surprised, and I think having given it a couple more days, I don't think it really gets to that point where she's leaving Nick, but I wondered if they would have been like kissing outside of challenges.
Yeah, I think that she came in right after the convo that Nick and Sierra had about being open, right? And so she definitely had that in her mind of like, I'm going to be open. She liked Elin, you know, Timu, Nick. And maybe they had a little bit of a vibe, but I feel like she was just so sad about Alandria being gone that it totally took the wind out of her sails.
Yeah, I do think that is the case. I think she was thinking about Nick quite a bit. As far as other couples, it's hard when the most we get from Iris and Zach is Zach saying that his Hear Me Out was Mrs. Puff from SpongeBob, which is a reference I know is probably lost on both of you.
But it's fine. I looked it up.
I didn't know it was a reference. I just looked up who it was.
Yeah.
It's from SpongeBob.
I mean, it is not like a reference to a joke. Like, I just didn't know if either of you knew Mrs. Puff intimately. Like Zach,
I Googled it.
I didn't know Mrs. Puff, but I knew enough to Google the picture and laugh really hard that that's his Hear Me Out. And like, you could tell Iris was so not impressed with that either. She's like, this is obviously not about
moment that Iris was like, you know what, TJ will do.
You know, I am thinking, knowing what I know about Mrs. Puff, if that is Zach's dream woman, then maybe he should hit up Huda if he likes to be dominated, because I do think she is a character who will tell you what to do.
Oh my god!
Oh, snap.
Do either of you have a Hear Me Out that you'd like to share with the class?
My gosh,
I have to think.
I didn't come in prepared.
I actually feel like I don't even have one.
What? No, you have one. You came in prepared.
No, I didn't. Prepared? I did not come in prepared.
Damn it.
Mine's SpongeBob.
It's SpongeBob. Okay.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Right. Look, I wish I could come up with the example. I feel like I probably have.
It's like, I mean, sexy Squidward. Sexy's right in the name, you know.
There you go. Oh, handsome Squidward.
Handsome Squidward. I wasn't allowed to watch SpongeBob. I grew up in a cult.
Look, we're not blaming you.
Thank you. It's not my fault. Okay. I guess like Pepe and Grayson are together, but
sure
that's really all there is to say about that.
Even in the recoupling, the show was like they're just together.
There are. In Hannah's exit interviews, it is seeming like actually Pepe was very, very nice to her, and they had more of an emotional connection than what the show let us see. But it also, her interviews have made me think, Scally, you're right. They hate her. The other women hated Hannah.
I really think, and well, especially if you look at just, I mean, Amaya cried over having to leave the Casa Amor house behind, let alone when Hannah was there. So, like, I think every time Amaya cries for something, it makes me more and more convinced that they all hated her. But I think that Pepe and Grayson, like, they seem fine. I actually thought that the conversation where he was teasing her about, like, oh, your parents are going to watch that challenge, the showdown, which I don't think we did talk about, is the same thing as every season. Everyone makes out. I'm like, okay, moving on.
But it was funny. Like it's fun to watch. Like there's not that much to say about it, but like even Josh watches about half the episodes with me, and he was playing video games while we were watching that episode, but he kept looking over and laughing at what was going on. So like it's a fan favorite.
I think it used to be funnier and has devolved into just, okay, now these two people make out, now these two people make out. Like it used to be like weirder things.
We need to go back to like kiss underwater, kiss in the shower. Yes. Like make it more of an like I can't think of the word right now. A scavenger hunt with kids, like a making out scavenger hunt.
Yeah. Because at this point, you know, you've left the creativity to them. And bless his heart, as much as Ace thinks he is creative, again, a lot of this was just let the boys take their shirts off, which is not doing a lot. And then Ace just periodically yelling at people to keep kissing. Also, the boys were weird. Okay, actually, you know what? No, these boys were wild.
Say it.
They're like, it's like like one of the boys is making out with one of the girls, but then the other two boys are like behind them, like, like, how is this sexy?
You didn't like the Pride Rock makeout?
Did you like when they were playing chicken? But
the double-decker makeout, that was interesting.
That was an interesting one. Listen, I just feel like I agree with Kirsten. Let it be like, all right, the first two couple to make out in the pool, just have people run to the pool, jump in the pool, stuff like that. Like it was like the woman from North Carolina kisses the man from California. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And like a lot of it, most of them were just like kiss the person with the longest hair, kiss the person you're in a couple with, right? Like, what if it had been man with the longest hair, kiss the woman you're more attracted to, and then suddenly, he picks Clark and Alandria is upset, right? Like you have to add like elements to it where someone at the other villa can be like,
yep.
Oh my God, that's this person. Oh my, like there was just nothing but kisses and they all kind of blended together.
Exactly. It just has become kind of routine at this point. I did really enjoy how we talked about Ace doing the pep talks and encouraging, but
Shelly
also had Shelly over there. It was pointed out like, okay, maybe they are matching each other's energy quite well.
I loved at the end when Casa Amor won, and in the villa, Pepe's like, we should have taken our pants off. I knew we should have taken our pants off.
Pepe had that moment, and the moment where he was like, they were like, yeah, well, we know who the 6'7" person who won that challenge was. And he's like, yeah, man, Chris must have been going in. And it just shows, it pans to Ace, like not loving that. I was here for Pepe this time.
Not the legal name.
Yeah. I did like that.
I like Pepe, and I mean, you know, I'm prepared to eat my words like I do anytime I say I like a man on one of these shows. But there was also a good moment that I saw pointed out on Twitter where like a bunch of the people in the villa were like jumping up and down, and he like turns to like get Alandria involved because she's like sitting back, and he like checks in on her. So I don't know. I'm a Pepe fan.
Yeah, he seems like he is a nice person.
Good nice people. Boy. Yeah. But I think ultimately with that challenge, also missed opportunity to not have Taylor and Alandria make out. I feel like that should have happened. It didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Also, not for nothing, we do find out when they're deliberating on who to send home. There were some people that did not talk to any people. Like, so one of the kisses should be the boy with the longest hair kisses the girl they have not talked to yet. This like, and then so that's
wild.
Yeah. The girl they haven't pulled for a chat. Let some mix and matches happen here.
Yeah, and when that's the thing too, this was the only challenge of Villa versus Casa that we saw at all. Normally, there's at least like 2 to 3 things.
They're usually the like food transferring competition
and listen,
is a standard.
Can leave that.
Right. So I was about to say Kirsten, I don't know. Yeah.
No. That one's
to spit in people's mouths.
No, I have been very clear on the record for years, actually, that that's the last thing I want to see. If people want to do it consensually in their own time, that's fine, but I don't need to see it. But like normally wouldn't they do like a truth or dare type situation as well, where it's like Villa versus Villa? I don't know. It just felt like Casa was so short and we missed out on the best parts of Casa that we've gotten in the past. And yes, I do think the twists that they pulled in were interesting, but they took too much of the time if it was only going to be 3 days in Casa.
Yeah. I do think it was a tough one there. I mean, who's left on the table? I know, Pooya, you showed us something highlighting a conversation with TJ and Vanna where Vanna is talking at TJ and he is very clearly just completely ignoring her, responds in a way that does not make any sense to what she said.
Just absolute autopilot. Is oh, that's crazy. That's cool. Yeah. Like, yeah, I feel like TJ was trying to survive. I feel like he got the survival. He had no interest in exploring with Vanna beyond that. And I am just sad that Iris doesn't have a better option available to her at this point. I've just not, here's the thing. I've not vibed with TJ from the minute we've met him. And he's offered nothing on the show at all. Like some other people, they'll come in, they'll have at least 1 or 2 good sound bites before they leave. What's the best thing TJ has done in this house?
TJ seems to be the only one who knows how to work the espresso machine and brings a full coffee bar up to the women every single day, and they still don't want him. Like, it's not good.
Coffee can't be that good.
Well, it doesn't seem like anyone else knows how to use the machine, so it's the best they could get.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. Now, I know it was a shocker for most of them, but is there anything we need to get through before the recoupling? Are we able to jump on that?
I did ask the RHAP chat BCC group chat if they had any questions for us, and they do have a couple that I think would make sense to hit before.
Let's do it.
So Caitlin asks, what do we think of the choice of giving the boys the gift of information? Alandria and Nick are safe and returning to the villa. Alandria giving information about what the girls are up to, while the girls were left totally in the dark at Casa Amor.
I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, had they gone to Casa Amor, does anything change? And I think the biggest part of that equation is when they go to the villa, does Taylor keep exploring? Seems like yes. And if they go to Casa Amor, does Sierra keep exploring? And I think she explores even less than she already was. So for me, I think that that's why this kind of made sense. I also think that they're probably more invested in Alandria, as we could see. So they were probably trying like, oh, she ends up with Nick or she ends up with Taylor. Like, as long as she's here is kind of how I think the show felt. So I think that's why, but I also I don't know. Like I would say I could have dealt with the like postcard type information getting sent to the other villa of like, here's what your men are up to while you're away. But the answer was nothing. So I don't think it would have done much.
Fair. Okay. Jill asks a couple of questions. Number 1, do we think Ace has a better chance at winning because Taylor chose Clark, making it seem like Ace has less of a strong hold over him than it seemed? I don't think Ace is winning. I feel like people don't like Ace right now.
I think it only increases Ace's chance in winning and that it takes Taylor and Alandria out of contention. And I think that potentially people like Alandria enough to vote for her no matter who she's with. And I think that there were people who still did believe in their connection. If they come back together, maybe it worsens it. But I don't know that Ace's like whether he is a mastermind or not came down to Alandria and Taylor coming back together.
Right.
Jill also asks, do they normally talk about this show as a game as much as they have this season? I feel like the answer is yes and no.
Can you repeat that real quick?
Like on the show itself, do they normally talk as much about it being a game as they have been on this season?
I don't know.
I
feel like it's always a consideration.
The way that I think that they do always talk about it is in terms of like, this is a test. We have to test each other. We have to do like, this is the format of the show. And I feel like that kind of fourth wall breaking has become more and more common. And so like, no, that's why we're here. We're here to test our relationship and to do this and do that and do blah, yada. So I think that kind of conversation is in terms of it's okay because if we get to the end and win this thing, that's maybe mentioned less explicitly when I feel like it's come up like twice this season.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then Lauren just wanted us to break down the awkwardness of Taylor losing his mind over Nick versus saying hello to Alandria, which I do think that we did address, but just once again for posterity, he basically pushed Alandria over to get to Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the proof was so in the pudding from there on, especially when he proceeds not to talk to her until like way later. And then at one point when she's moving over, Ace is like, go talk to her. He's like, she's eating. I'll wait till she's done. And then they're like joking about it, and she's like within earshot. That wasn't a good like shot. I think the Alandria fans are rightfully upset because they're like, this woman put herself out for this man. Like, she took the photos and that photo booth photo shoot was hot. She puts that in the stuff that makes no movement. Like, it was done. It was done, and I think you can see from that moment on that it was done.
I think it became extremely clear when Alandria comes into the villa, and he's worried about making sure that Clark is comforted with, don't worry, Clark, this won't get awkward, rather than talking to Alandria and being like,
yeah,
hey, gotta let you know what's been going on. It was his priority was clear.
Do you think part of it for him was also that, well, she did this with Jalen in front of me, so I should be allowed to, like, she'll understand that I'm doing this with Clark right now.
She did not do that with
I mean, she explored, not to the degree that he did. I don't think they were kissing out of challenge outside of a peck. But I think
yeah,
Taylor and Clark, slightly more than a peck.
The thing is like Taylor is allowed to like Clark more and recouple with Clark. Like, I don't think that Taylor is like a bad person for making that choice. He is doing the right thing by choosing who he's more attracted to. It's just frustrating because Alandria is so much more likable than Taylor. And so we want the best for her and we want her to be in a good relationship, and it doesn't seem like there's any options for that. So then we get a little resentful of Taylor for having like an actual connection. But again, he's allowed, and he's not a villain.
Yeah. No. And I don't think that Clark is either. I think that I like Clark well enough from what I've seen on the show. I know that some people were saying that she was being shady when she repeated the like, good morning, Islanders. But like, I feel like it's a thing that's said on the show. I feel like I would also repeat that, not being shady, just being like,
yeah,
I repeated a phrase that I heard because I don't know.
And she went out of her way to also talk to Alandria one-on-one about her connection with Taylor and what's been going on. She was much more forthcoming than Taylor was, and I felt like there was a lot of mutual respect between.
Yeah, completely agree. I do think that it was a nice move, because even Alandria was like, I was not going to pull her. So
yeah, which what do you think about that? That Alandria had no interest in initiating a conversation there.
It doesn't entirely shock me where like when Zach tried to talk to her right before she was eliminated, she was like, save it. I have no interest in talking to you.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
To me, I don't blame her, because like, why should she talk to Zach? They had nothing. Like, I don't know you. Like, we don't need to have a conversation. Like, I would rather talk to the people I care about here. But I think with Clark, she did a lot of coming into the villa and making it very clear with all of the Casa Amor girls, like, hey, explore with everyone. Like, you got to try, you got to do that. She was very like encouraging for all of them, not necessarily forming one-on-one connections. So I feel like she did enough in the group conversations where she was like pretty explicitly nice to all of them and wasn't weird around Clark, that I don't have a problem with her saying she wasn't going to pull her, because it's, I guess, for what reason?
Yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah, what was she gonna say? Like, hey, know you're going for Taylor. Thumbs up. Sounds great. Like, I just don't see the purpose. So
yeah, it's just interesting. But I felt like they were fine. Like, are they besties? No, but they were cordial with each other, and that's all you could ask for.
Yeah. I did like Clark being like, I take issue with the test comment, because
yes, I like that.
And I also am glad she didn't even like, it wasn't worth bringing up to Alandria, because I don't think Alandria like meant anything by it. It's just the language of the show, and I think that it does minimize many people's experience in there, and kind of like cheapens like people like it like treats people as objects. It's weird.
So yeah, your whole storyline is you are a temptation for this person. That's all you are. That's how it can come off for sure.
So I definitely got that from her perspective. Otherwise, let's get to the
think we can,
please.
we go to recoupling.
Now, Ariana comes in. She brings in all of the boys who they've coupled up with one by one. And I did really enjoy this. It gets down to, was Taylor eliminated or was Nick eliminated? Revealing, Nick actually wasn't eliminated. But Sierra does start crying as soon as she finds out Nick was eliminated. And I thought that it was really funny that Amaya was crying even more than Sierra.
Well, she feels things very deeply.
Our empath right there, yeah.
What I loved, though, was when Nick and Alandria came in, Sierra ran to him as if he just got back from war. And, like, Elon's just sitting on the bench like, no shot.
Yeah.
Immediately, no shot. It's over.
That felt like spoilers. I feel like that shit, like, obviously, I feel like I would have bet money on the two recoupling. But the minute she got up and made out, Elon should have just sat in the single and vulnerable chairs immediately.
Yeah. Agreed. I do think that there's probably should have been some rule of like, ladies, we will not be standing up until we are told to, because it is spurred on, I think, by everyone running to give Alandria a hug, and Sierra, unlike Taylor, actually hugs the person she was coupled up with when they re-enter the villa. So I think that's kind of where it was at, but it made it extremely obvious how this was going to go, especially the fact that they were like the second to last people to couple up in this new format. Kind of took the
they should have gone first. They should have just gone first at that point. I did like when they see Alandria back. I think it was Huda who was like, "Bitch, never leave us again."
It was very funny. Now they find out in order to couple up, they're all going to have to stand on spots in the shape of a giant heart. They will write down the name of the islander that they want to couple up with, and only will be able to couple up if it is a match. Pooya, how'd you like this method of recoupling?
I feel like we're doing a little too much, but also, how in the world are you supposed to do this otherwise? You know what I mean? Like, there are 57 people in this villa right now, and you gotta like have everyone be on camera. You gotta figure out a way to like, and like obviously, I think the mechanic that did work was, all right, well, these two have picked this person. Did anyone pick one of these two? Oh, you did get your dumbass over there on the loser couch because you messed up. It's over for you. I feel like that sped it up a little bit. I do like that they just kind of yada the Pepe and Grayson one because we all knew that was going to be a clear-cut 1-for-1. So initially, I felt like, okay, because some of these are, and I think most of it, Scally, I think the format, maybe it's not the fault. I think the predictability of where everyone is maybe harms this more because it should be exciting. Like what we get at the very end should be what you're expecting to get for half of these, but that wasn't the case at all.
Literally, I was hoping there would be some chain reaction of like, oh, now 17 people are up here on this heart somehow.
Yeah, that would have been fun. I thought visually it looked really cool, and I understand why they went for it with that. I even think like having people go up and the chain reactions, like that's fine. It was the result that was the problem, as Pooya said. They did not need to write anything down. The writing down was just a total waste. Because like, why?
I think you got to. No, because I feel like at a certain point, like if you are, let's say, like I'm trying to think, like if Chris wrote down Shelly and he doesn't see Ace come up or does see, like he can change his mind based on like if Ace goes up there or not.
I think it's the situation where we don't need to see them writing it down and see the results, but like perhaps everyone locks in their decision in like the confessional ahead of time so that we have it locked, but we don't have to see everyone's bad penmanship.
Yeah.
I did like the moment of when Jaden was like, wow, I didn't know you knew how to spell my name to Austin.
That was impressive. Yeah.
Look, that one brain cell.
It doing the work, and it's working hard. Here's the thing. Also agree with you, Kirsten, that visually this was great. But I will say, I was like, when are they going to distribute the pieces in this game, and who's going to get the extra clue for what happens in the prison? Because it was giving Devil's Plan a little bit. It was giving main match energy.
Little bit. Once it started getting like a little empty on the heart, I was like, it's kind of losing the visual impact for me.
Yes.
But it started really good. I thought it was cute. My only complaint is, we've only had one actual recoupling where people just choose who they want this season.
Yeah, the women have not
one.
gotten up there to say why they're recoupling with anybody yet, and we're 23, 24 episodes in deep.
It is so incredibly annoying. Just let's do the season as Love Island does. It's not really a broken format as much as some of these people are trying to break it. So I think that we could have had a little more fun there. And maybe they'll do it in the future, but I don't know. I think for what we got, I was pretty happy. I think a lot of these go pretty predictably in terms of like Austin and Jaden couple up, Maya and Zach, Pepe and Grayson, Andrena and Brian. I will say, TJ and Iris was the first shocking couple for me.
Yeah, I wasn't sure that Iris would pick him.
Oh, see, I just feel like if there was more there with the Zach connection, we would have seen it. The fact that we didn't, that added to with the whole thing of TJ saying like, I found myself thinking what Iris is doing. I was like, all right, these two are getting back together. I'm not seeing Vanna staying. I'm also not seeing Zach with a C staying. It really, I feel like through that, I felt like it wasn't going to happen any other way. But also, low-key, I didn't think about them all that much either.
For me, like, Casa Amor has flopped when we can't even break up Iris and TJ. Like, this couple stays together. Like, holy crap.
They brought in 6 men over 6 feet 2 inches tall. And Iris went back to TJ? The 23-year-old dweeb?
I did not see it coming. I did not feel like they had a particularly strong connection. So the fact that they both wrote each other's names down was very surprising to me. I feel like in many other seasons, you would expect them to bring in like a safety blanket in case the other person did not actually bring them in. But yeah, this one did shock me. Not shocked by Ace and Shelly, really. I feel like we saw that one coming.
Well,
right?
You know what shocked me, though? What shocked me is the Chris and Huda and the fact that Chris knew to not put Shelly's name down. That felt like some scheming went down in that house, for sure.
Because we really only saw that one combo between Huda and Chris, and it didn't seem like a match made in heaven. So I'll be interested to see them actually interact now in the villa proper. Obviously Sierra and Nick, not surprising at all. And then Taylor picking Clark is like, I guess could be a surprise if you haven't seen Taylor's eyes lose their light every time he talks to Alandria versus Clark.
I think it was a little bit shocking in that it did feel like the episode was posturing the slide back where there was like, ooh, look, she's really putting in the offense with these pictures, and ooh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? But from the actual like analysis of their connections, it felt like it was probably always going to go this way. And I think none more shocked than, once again, Amaya absolutely losing it, standing up. What? Taylor, are you serious? Like, people are losing their minds.
I felt bad.
He wrote it down.
For Taylor. I felt bad for Taylor because at the end of the day, I mean, it's the guy's decision and it's his connection to make. I recognize, first of all, I've also echoed that Alandria is one of my favorite people in the house, period, whether OG or not. But also, like, y'all, like, she is your friend, but you can't get mad at Taylor for finding a new connection and making it, especially for me, not for nothing. Amaya, aren't you sitting next to a brand new person also? Like, let's not have smoke for this guy for that reason, but have the smoke because it's good TV for me. And I love that. Our empath.
I really believe that she is one. Now, so they went through this whole recoupling on the Friday night episode. We watched it all happen. When Ariana said everyone would be coming back to the villa, did anyone else think like me that perhaps they would just have like 100 people here for like 1 or 2 days before doing the recoupling? Or am I
No, I did
just
not
crazy?
what is this, Squid Game? Yeah, no, they just periodically they let two people leave every hour.
Well, no, I thought everyone was gonna be together for like a day or two, and then on like Sunday night we'd get the proper recoupling and see the true results of everything. Because like she said, everyone's coming back, and like technically yes, everyone came back, but like for 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is somewhat what I expected. I felt like we were going to be getting a recoupling. I don't need to see two Casa Amor bombshells couple up, even though they may have been successful as a couple. Like, sorry, you didn't get picked earlier. But I was thinking this is somewhat of what we were getting. Outside of, we find out Ariana announces that one boy and one girl will be saved tonight. The Villa side will pick which girl will stay. The Casa Amor Islanders will pick which boy stays. How do we feel?
I think that they were doing this if Alandria was single, and perhaps not doing it if Alandria was not single.
Do you think they just dump all 6 if
Clark is single?
really?
Yes.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Just clean.
They love sending those Casa Amor people out the door without a moment of
They cannot
wait.
They don't care.
Okay.
And will in the next 3 episodes.
Yes.
There will be a vote that purges half of them coming.
Yeah, so remind me again, as a very big casual, how are we going to end up getting the purge here? What typically happens?
You vote for your favorite couple, most likely, and then the bottom couples will be at risk, potentially through a vote. Potentially the lowest vote will just be kicked off, and then there will be a vote for like who else gets eliminated.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a few different ways, but
moving forward, I would expect probably something where like the lowest couple automatically goes home. Then the next 3 lowest are eligible for elimination. Then there's another
you get
like
to pick to save.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
That's what I'm assuming will be moving forward, because I'm sorry, this was kind of crap in my book. I think Alandria should have gone home. I think Elin should have gone home. I love Alandria. This show needs stakes. Stop being scared. This feels so desperate from the show. Like they don't think that they can succeed without Alandria. And as much as I like her, I think it completely loses what Love Island used to be. They used to not be scared to send anyone home at any time. You could lose the biggest character of the season in episode 4. And now all of a sudden it's like we couldn't possibly lose one OG somehow. And so do we really need like 18 people were safe already? We need to have 20. There's already not enough beds in the villa. This for me was crap. I was not happy.
I agree. Like, and again, Mari posted like a very good point of like, if Rob and Bergie can be dragged to the end of a Love Island season, why not Alandria? And that is fair.
Absolutely valid. Absolutely valid. Because those guys should not have.
And I mean, want
Bergie
them to be
then?
Didn't want them to be then either. That is my thing, is when like the strings are too transparent, that's when I'm gonna start having an issue. And so like and now all of the sudden, and it happened, I would say probably for Maura also on Love Island UK at one point, but that is where I start being like, even if I really enjoy this character, which I had done, and there have been times where people have gone home and I'm like, no, wait, I'm not ready. I don't need it. Like there are still enough characters here that are interesting, and we're just going to still not find Alandria anyone in a week and she's going to go home then?
Yeah, like I feel like we have Alandria's full story. She's had the full experience. She's explored with bombshells. She went to Casa Amor. She coupled up with Nick in the little production twist. She really tried for Taylor, and Taylor's not interested. Taylor does not want her. It's very clear that he is not romantically interested in her. They have a great friendship. And so at what point do we just like put her out of her misery, right? And like let her stop being in this position?
Now, if she finds somebody, because actually, let's go back to the formatting talk. This might be a weird season for that with the Casa Amor being 3 days, but when is the next, when is the next soonest time we're going to get a bombshell? Do y'all think?
4 episodes, 5 episodes, but they're kicking a lot of people before that happens.
Right.
Yeah, and Alandria will be safe because she's single.
Yep.
Here's the thing. Low key, I think Alandria finding a new connection would make me very happy.
Yes.
Now that she's here, right? Now that she's here, I want to see that happen, and I would love to see her prevail and take the entire thing at this point. Because my thing is, I feel like, and I kind of echo what you said, Scally. I feel like, especially this season more than others, and I'm not saying this vote is like the other ones, but we've had some schemers in the villa who have been voting very methodically and very strategically. Nothing would make me happier if the decisions they've made along the way will cause someone to win over them. And Alandria would be my number one pick to win over a lot of other people left in the villa as of right now. But I will say, I feel like it is a flaw in the show that people can, again, love Island, but they stay because they got the friends on the island more so. It's not the point of the show, but
it depends. If I like it, I'm okay with it. Like Janae staying last season, fine, but like that still created drama.
I like this now, but also I'm like, bruh, like I want drama, and like, are we gonna get drama? Because Alandria, bless her, is not gonna bring us drama here, which is fine. But I needed the drama to come from elsewhere. Like I think the person I'm most upset with leaving this season is Jeremiah, because I needed him there for movie night, and now we don't have that. So
we have 2, maybe 3 weeks left, and also Alandria is a slow burner who is not going to kiss for the first week. She's not finding a connection this fast, and like as much as I like her, it's not happening, and we're going to send her home in a couple days, maybe a week. So I wish the best for her. I would love to see her on Love Island Games, on Love Island All Stars, whatever the case may be, but it's not happening.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. And I think that's where I was at on Tuesday as well. Like, I just don't think we're going to actually get to see her explore a real relationship. And so, like, just let her go home and, like, see her friends and family and have her phone back and see how beloved she is. Because she's not going to, like, fully pursue a relationship. Because I'm with you, Pooya. If she was gonna like meet someone new and really click and like win the game, I would love to see it. I just don't believe in that really happening. And typically they don't bring that many bombshells in after Casa Amor. It really normally the season slows down quite a bit after Casa. So I'm just like, what they're gonna like, who are they bringing in? Probably like Scott, who played 3 seasons of Love Island 2 summers ago. Maybe they'll bring him back.
My God.
No, he's on Perfect Match. He's on Perfect Match.
Is he?
Yeah.
Give it a break, man.
He stays booked.
And the thing is he's like a perfectly nice, perfectly handsome guy. I do not understand him being on so many love shows.
I think he's just available at this point. The schedule's free. I like him. I like him for the most part, but I don't know. I've never seen a more convincing relationship than the first one he was in on the show. So, the diminishing returns.
Hold up. Carrington is on? Oh, dear Lord.
Oh, yes.
Oh, don't worry. You can get the full breakdown of everyone who's on Perfect Match Season 3. Myself and Jason Reed were on Reality Flash breaking it all down today.
I'm, for the first time scrolling through this, oh my God, I'll have to watch this. Yeah, no, all right, I'm going to close this. Sorry.
Oh, it's going to be messy. It's going to be messy and good. I can't wait. But yeah, obviously, Casa Amor saved Elin, Villa saved Alandria. Ace was pushing to keep Coco in the house.
Oh, for sure he was.
His way.
I think wasn't Taylor pushing against Alandria staying in the house? Like it was
Nick was the one pushing to keep her.
Yeah, this was the first time Nick didn't agree with Ace and Taylor.
Which I'm kind of wondering where the votes came from then, because you have Nick, maybe like Austin, but like you would think that the Casa Amor girls are voting to keep one of their own. If Ace and Taylor are on their side.
I don't remember who it was that was like, yeah, I want Alandria to stay, but I'm gonna vouch for Coco, advocate for Coco here. I was like, well, then don't bother if you're gonna vote that other way. It's a hard sell for the, like, you've just seen the reaction Alandria got. You really want to piss off the people you're just about to meet? Probably not. So you're probably not going to want to involve yourself with the vote as much either. feel like there was a lot of people who just abstained and said, whatever's good, I'm fine.
I loved when Nick said, no offense, Clark, but what if Taylor changes his mind in a couple days? He's only known you 3 days.
Hilarious.
Yeah. It's possible.
Do you think there's a world where Nick does try and like push Taylor that way towards Alandria? Do you think that's possible?
I don't think so at this point. I mean, he told Alandria like straight out, honestly, there were red flags and that he was getting physical earlier.
Oh, that was messy.
I think he knows.
Messy. Yeah, when he said all that and then pivoted to we should explore each other, I was like, Nick, you ain't shit. This is so devious. Yeah.
And yet it was one perfect, beautiful episode.
I think it would be being a bad friend to both of them to push that at this point. I think, usually you would think he would do that if he was being a good friend to Alandria, but like being a good friend to Alandria is not convincing her to continue pining after Taylor.
I think at this point, when you've seen Alandria put in so much work to be like, hey, we have this connection. I left you so it can grow. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. And he said, no, I'm still picking Clark. At this point, yeah, you got to root for Alandria to find love outside of that connection. And you have to root for Taylor to explore this connection as well because he's made a decision for him. Let's hope it's the right one.
We'll see. Maybe she can snipe Chris from Hutta. Like maybe there's something there. I don't think she's sliding back to Zach, but
no, I don't
not
think
a lot of
it's
guys
gonna
here.
be Zach. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We will have obviously a new episode on Sunday night. We'll come back Tuesday to recap the start of week 5. But I think like that's pretty much it. Is there anything else that either of you wanted to talk about from this week, or Pooya, if you have any takes from the rest of the season as a whole, we'd love to hear those too.
No, I mean, I've been having a good ass time. It's been very fun watching the season play out. I feel like Love Island is the #1 show for good meme content on socials, and the Night to Night really helps that as well. So it's been great to be involved with those as well. I've had people I really like in this cast. I've had people who I did not like at all who have grown on me significantly since, and have had a lot of staying power. And then there's TJ, who I am still the #1. The guy's done nothing on the show, still a hater. I would like for him to leave because again, he's offering me nothing. This cast, some of the people in this cast, I'm not going to lie to you, someone who's about to cover the traders soon come. There's some good traders potential from this cast that we should see. But what's funny is I feel like we're not done with season 6 yet for the traders. I feel like there's plenty more that need to go into that well for before this, but there's potential.
But like Ace could run that turret like the Navy.
Ace could be on, if they were smart, they do a crossover episode where they're like, okay, for 2 days in both seasons, all right, we're pulling 2 people from Survivor 50, we're pulling 2 people from Love Island, and they're swapping for 2 days because that's potential right there. And I think Ace could do well on that show also.
I did see a TikTok this week of like before we knew exactly what was happening with Nick and Alandria, and it was like they're actually being taken to Survivor 50 right now. They're the Survivor 49 female and Survivor 49 male. That was actually a lie. It's gonna be Nick and Alandria, and I was like, well, Survivor's been filming, so
yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
What
now that Nick and Alandria seem like they're off the table, now that we've had all these new couples, who do you want to win at this point? We got 10 basically couples at this point. Pick one.
All right, okay, so I was going to say we have to specifically pick a couple that's coupled right now.
If you would vote for Alandria by herself, regardless of who that is with, knowing that it could be TJ at the end, who would you vote for?
Oh, I would vote for Alandria many a times. I will abstain if that happened. Oh God,
I think I would vote for Nick and Sierra at this point. They're the only one that I like really buy into and like both people in the couple.
Okay.
Yeah, low key, that's exactly where I would go if I'm not going Alandria, is Nick and Sierra. I think that would be a great couple. I feel like both of them have had a lot of impact on the season as well. They've been entertaining. Mom of what? A dog. I'm sorry. Like that's easily the most viral moment of the season for sure.
Mamacita.
The the utters moment with Nick, that's staying power. I don't think anyone's gonna forget the Sierra kiss from this past week as well. Like these two are such a fun couple that I'd be very much here for that. I am curious to see what happens with them, and I think their big test is movie night. I think some of those kisses, and especially because Sierra's talked about how Nick be kissing a little too freely in these challenges. The Nick and Alandria kisses and some other stuff that could be fun, but no, I think that's for me, Scally. That's who I would also go. Kirsten, on the same page. Are we tripling down?
Well, I think
Or
I
you
made it
picking
pretty
Austin?
clear.
He's picking
Calm
TJ and
down over
Iris,
there.
obviously.
Okay, well, the slander is crazy over here, but I made it very clear pretty early on that Sierra was my favorite, and I have been long rooting for her. I like Nick fine. I would not qualify him in the same group of favorites that I have Sierra and a couple others. I would say that there has been less scheming opportunity for Ace lately, and it is making me a little bit back on the Ace and Shelly train. I do like them both to a degree. Look, is it perfect? No. But do I think they at least like each other? Yes. So that automatically brings them up quite a few notches. So they are not a no for me. I think if Nick and Sierra were to fall off the radar or something were to happen, I am still eyeing them as a potential. There's also like no one else. But I would say I'm probably also in that same boat, primarily because I like Sierra quite a bit.
Yeah. I want to see more of her.
I feel like we get a decent amount, and I feel like I also, in what we get, understand her as a character.
Fair enough. Okay. Is that everything? Have we covered every bit of Love Island that we can to this point?
I think that's it. I am just ready to get some of these random people out of here. Like, I'm sorry, we better have 14 people at most by the next time we talk.
Well, we'll see about that.
14 is good. That's a good number. 7 couples, I think we can deal with that.
The absolute most I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Scally is like, if there's more than that, we're cutting off the people and we will not be addressing them on
We're not talking about them.
I'm not going to lie to you. You could get away with doing that without saying you're doing that, and people would not notice that you're doing that.
Almost did today. There were
at one point, Kirsten was like, so that's everybody we've talked about, right? And I was like, what? We have not talked about 2 couples that I can think of.
Have the names Andrina and Brian been said this entire episode?
No,
well, we
lock them up. They're locked in.
We mentioned that they're in a couple. I don't think we saw them talk.
We can't mention them if the show doesn't. So
yeah, no,
exactly.
We
exactly
love them more than the show does.
Nope.
Yeah, no, I low-key think they would have been like her and Jeremiah could have been win candidates as well if they made it further. I think that was entirely possible.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, Pooya, thank you so much for joining us. This has been so fun. You're the first official guest on the We Know Love Island feed.
I'm the Sierra. I'm the bombshell. Yeah. Ooh, who's gonna come after me? Oh, who's the TJ? Oh, it can be me.
Not the TJ.
Be me. I guess they're all the bombshells, but
so with that being said, where else can the people hear from you if they are just meeting you for the first time and they would like to hear more from you?
You know what? I'll keep it short and sweet. You can find me on all socials at Pooyaism. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Pooya. That's where I am when I'm not podcasting. As far as podcasting, if you just look me up on any of those platforms, you'll find shows that I talk about. Mainly The Traders is my big baby. And then I've got a passion project that I do with Leon every week called The Lounge. So you can check that out as well. It's all on RHAP. And then, if you're trying to go even further, you're like, you know what, Pooya, I liked all that. I want more. Hit you with the 90 Day Fiance. Check out the We Know 90 Day podcast as well.
Amazing. Thank you. And Scally, what about you? What other projects do you have going on right now?
People can find me over on the Free Agents podcast with Matt Ligori, talking about old school seasons of The Challenge and occasionally the other show, including a nice little Traders draft with Pooya himself. So you can go find that over there. Otherwise, at Brian_Scally on Twitter, Brian Scally on Blue Sky, and B Scally on Twitch.
Amazing. You can follow me everywhere at Kirsten Said What, and you can listen to Mess Magnets every week with myself and Sasha Joseph talking about pop culture, trending topics, celebrity gossip at messmagnets.com. And the We Know Love Island feed is doing amazing. Thanks to all of you wonderful listeners and reviewers. We are at 197 reviews on Apple Podcasts, and I would just love to be at 200 next time we talk. So if you've been waiting to review, now is the perfect time to do it. Borrow your friend's phone, your mom's phone. If your doctor's office has an iPad to check in for your appointment, you could just go in and give us a cheeky 5-star there. We would really appreciate it because it just really shows the network that you value our Love Island coverage, and it is the easiest way for more people to find the show as we continue covering it. So we are so appreciative of all of that. And we will see you on Tuesday night. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.